Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Horror Heaven77, and the movie that I want to talk about tonight is a 1971 Belgium Italian horror film. The movie that I'm talking about stars Erika Blanc and Jean Servais, and is called The Devil's Nightmare. Now, this movie, first of all, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm a fan of Hammer horror movies, and some of those old school horror films. Movies like The Old Dark House. Hammer horror movies like some of the Hammer Dracula pictures and things like that. And this movie fits very much in that vein, but it's also more modernized, so you get that kind of like classic, like Hammer movie feel, but at the same time, you also have it's mixed with like 1970s exploitation. So, you get nudity, you get blood, things like that. But, it's got a good story to it. Not a particularly altogether familiar or original story. It definitely doesn't feel like something you haven't already seen before, but still, it's a good story. It's well executed. The movie begins in 1945 in Berlin, and we're introduced to the Baron von Runeberg with his assistant, Hans. And the Baron's wife is pregnant. Now, while they have planes flying overhead and bombs dropping and things like that, the Baron's wife is giving birth to his baby. The baby's born. The Baron goes in, and he, doesn't even care that his wife is dead. His wife died giving birth to the child. So, and this movie begins with probably the ballsiest scene I've seen in a movie. I'm sure it was definitely very ballsy in 1971 when it first came out. So the Baron goes in. He asks the lady taking care of his wife, like what happened. Not really what happened, but just basically asks, is the child a boy or a girl? And the lady tells him, congratulations, you have a beautiful baby daughter. So the Baron tells her, can you please leave us alone? I'll call you if I need you. And she's kind of looking at him kind of weird, but she's like, yeah, okay, I guess so. So she leaves, and he goes, he looks down, sees his baby daughter, takes out a huge knife and plunges it right into the baby's stomach. And that's the beginning of your movie. Now, cut to, it's supposed to be modern day, but obviously it's 1970, but, oh man. Getting to the part of the movie that I admit I didn't care for, because this part of the movie was like, it doesn't fit in the movie. It's one of those things like you could completely take this little scene out of the movie and it really wouldn't affect the story or the plot at all. It's years later. Now you have the Baron. He's being interviewed by this reporter. She's asking him questions, things like that. I'm sorry, just my throat's a little dry. Excuse me. Forgive me. She's asking him questions, things like that. And we notice that he's not aged very much. And we find out the reason why is because the Baron is an alchemist. So she's finishing. They're wrapping up the interview, and so she's asking him, because she's heard stories about the castle that the Baron lives in, and she wants to have a tour. Can maybe they like, can they do like a, he give her a tour? Can she look around? She wants to take pictures, things like that. The Baron's like, absolutely not. I think it's time for you to go. Like, don't take pictures of my, don't be taking pictures of my castle or anything like that. Well, she ignores him, and she decides she's going to go ahead and take pictures anyway. So she's out, she's taking pictures, and she tries to sneak away, and she doesn't get away. Just as she's about to get into her car, she gets attacked, and we don't. And that's another thing that was aggravating. It's like she gets killed, but we don't really see what happens to her, and it's just kind of like a small scene, But it's like it just. I guess the idea is to give you something horrific to get you through the next few minutes of setting up the characters, setting up the the story, and the environment and everything else, I guess. So, but then they bring her in. She's dead. On her arm, she's got like a mark of the devil on her, and so then we're introduced to our main characters. We have a busload. They're traveling. They're on holiday. We have the bus driver Duca. We have a Mr. Mason, who's kind of a crotchety old, cantankerous old man. Basically, if you've ever watched Jeff Dunham do his stand-up impression, or his stand-up with his dolls and everything else, if you've ever seen him do the character of Walter, this character is very much like Walter. Just down on everything, always in a bad mood, always grumpy, always mean, everything else. Then we're introduced to Howard and his wife Nancy, um, two lovely ladies named Corinne and Regine, and we're introduced to uh, seminary student named Sorrel. So they're traveling, and basically what ends up happening is that each of these characters embodies like something of the deadly sins. Okay, you have Duca, the bus driver. He embodies gluttony because he's constantly eating. He's like, the first time he's eating, he's like trying to drive the bus. He's eating like a chicken leg with a thigh attached to it. You have Mr. Mason, who he's kind of a combination of two deadly sins. He's both envy and he's both wrath. He's envy because he wishes he was a younger man and that he could appeal to gorgeous women like Corinne and Regine. But at the same time, he's also wrath because he's always mean. He's always cantankerous, down on everything, just always ticked off about everything. You have Corinne and Howard. Both of these characters signify lust. And Regine, she signifies sloth. And then Nancy signifies greed. So it's kind of like your basic story. They're traveling along. They see, that the road's shut off. They're trying to figure out, a way to get around this. They see a ominous looking man, this fella here. They ask him, is there any place where we could stay? Is there like a inn or a hotel, something like that? He tells them there's a castle. Go over there. They'll let you in over there. So they're okay. Thank you. So they go to the castle, and of course, it starts to rain, storms coming in, and everything else. Roads are being washed out, so there's no way. They're pretty much stuck there. So they go in, and they're introduced to Baron von Rudenberg, and they're all starting to have dinner. But of course, as being a 1970s exploitation movie, we need to have some. We need to have some TNA, so we got like a softcore, girl on girl scene with Regine and Corinne. Like you got some eye candy, with Nancy. If you like older women, then you got that going for you. And so they all go, they're all meeting and they're having drinks, getting ready to have dinner, and they're sitting around, having their dinner. And the Baron, he's kind of talking about the history of his family and the history of the castle, and he mentions that he's an alchemist, that his family, they've been alchemists for centuries, and that also too that they live in this belief that if any of their children, if their firstborn child is a girl, that they have to kill the child, because if they don't, the child will grow up and be a succubus, which is meant to explain why at the beginning of the movie the Baron murdered his daughter, because he believes, from their family's beliefs and everything, that if the child grows up, if the daughter grows up, she's going to be a succubus and she's going to be, wreaking hell all over the place. So, but then, unfortunately for our unwary travelers, we are introduced to a succubus named Ilsa, played by Erika Blanc here, and she does a really great job of, being seductive and kind of lures you in. And she comes in, and you can tell like she looks great throughout the whole movie, except when she turns evil. But then again, too, all they do is just kind of like hide her eyebrows and just kind of like put pancake makeup on her, kind of like white pancake makeup on her face, and then they just put like like black fingernails, and that's pretty much about it. So Ilsa, she comes in and she meets the characters, and she sees that each of these characters do embody like one of the seven deadly sins. And so she decides that she's going to go ahead and start killing these people, each one by one, and that they're take their souls and give them to the devil. And so of course these characters, each one representing one of the seven deadly sins. So kind of like their death has to coincide with like what their sin is. Howard and Corinne, their deaths have to, have something to do with lust. And Mr. Mason, something about wrath or envy, something like that. Regine, her death has to be tied to the fact that she's lazy and she represents sloth. And, just all she does is just kind of lay about, sleeps, and just kind of sits on her butt all the time, doesn't do much. Duca, gluttony, you get the idea. So But then you have the character of Sorrel, the seminary. He kind of represents pride in a way because what he wants to do is he wants to try to do that. He wants to save everybody, but he's also thinking that he would be a great priest and he would save a lot more souls if he could sacrifice his soul to the devil, and in exchange that he would be given the chance to save more souls and send them to heaven, and he'd be willing to give up his own soul to do that. So, but does that end up leading to his downfall? Well, I'm not going to tell you. You got to watch the movie, but overall, this movie is fun. It's entertaining. Like I said, if you're a fan of like Hammer movies, but a little more modernized with with more of an exploitation flair. If you don't mind some nudity, you don't mind some good blood. It's not overly gory, not really super graphic or anything like that, but some fun and interesting kills and things like that. Then yeah, I think you'd enjoy Devil's Nightmare. I did, and this here it's nice, to see it uncut, and it looks great. Mondo Macabro did a great job with the transfer. So I would definitely recommend, yeah, if you get a chance, pick up Devil's Nightmare and give it a shot. If you like the old fashioned kind of gothic, horror movies with kind of a old dark house kind of feel to it, then I say go ahead and give it a shot. So that's going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, please go and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Friday reviewer. We have different guys. Everybody's all doing great stuff. Got fun theme weeks and everything else coming up. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. So, again, thank you for watching. Everybody have a good night. Take care. I'll see you later.